Hello, viewers. Welcome to Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About provides an in-depth understanding of social issues that bother us as Christians. You are welcome to this week's edition. Our topic for discussion is Our Fathers, Our Heroes. To have this discussion with us today, or to help us with this discussion today, we have been joined by our own Captain Andy Sam and Yao Owusu-Addo, who two are wonderful fathers and heroes to many people and also members of the Trinity United Church. I'm your humble host, Steve Doche. Let me remind you, viewers, that we are live on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and Facebook. Trinity United Church, Legon. You can send your questions and comments ahead of time on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996. I take the number again, 0501 579 996. Welcome, Yao. Welcome, Sam.
Hello.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you today on this program. And we are going to talk about no other persons than ourselves as fathers. And this whole concept of fatherhood has become a vexed question that, people interpret in many ways. We know fathers play a fundamental role in shaping the lives of their families and of the community. They also provide spiritual guidance to most generations. Now, the theme, Our Fathers, Our Heroes, is a celebration of the strength, the wisdom, the sacrifices, and all the qualities that fathers are deemed to have. Now, these are pillars that have, stood through challenges and through times, and fathers have used that to help them to nurture their families. This special program by the church, therefore, invites us to reflect on the legacy of fatherhood. From the biblical perspectives, we are looking at fathers like Abraham, we are looking at Joseph, and we would even look like the father of the prodigal son, for instance. We're going to look at how these people's characters or the qualities that they have shown over the years have helped to shape their families, have helped to shape congregations and humanity as a whole. We would use this to throw some more light on how the characters of these people are worth or worthy of emulation. Well, welcome this evening to Let's Talk About. Now, fathers, they say, the pillars of the family. They provide protection, they are the providers of the house, they lead the spiritual, upliftment of their families and all that people would say about fathers. This evening, you are going to help us dive deep into who a father is. And by saying who a father is, we are not talking about just a father, anybody who fathers children. There is a connotation of who a good father is. And I believe that you two are better placed to help us all to understand that. I'll ask a question and you take turns to understand, and I'll start from there to answer. I'll start from you. What is this one memory of your father or a father figure in your life that still makes you smile today?
Thank you very much. So I will go back to my own father. My father used to encourage us to do farming. He wanted all the time for us to use our hands in working. And he did everything to ensure that happened to us. So I have very good memories of the trips that we made to farm, especially cocoa farms, and the experience I gained from it, which I personally apply today in my own life. So the fact that he forced for me to imbibe the idea of farming comes to me, or the anytime I'm going to farm, it comes to my mind and I laugh. or smile about it. And I remember those days when we went to, one particular day we went to farm and there was this big river there. We were there, then all of a sudden we saw the river flowing with bubbles on top of it. And he said, no, it means some rain is happening somewhere and the river is soon going to overflow the banks. So we should cross. Whatever it was, we should cross. Because if we stay, we may have to sleep in the bush that night. I remember that saved our lives because later it rained so heavily and there was a lot of flooding around the place. But because he could, out of experience, perhaps, predict that we had to cross. Sometimes I say, hey, but for that thinking of my father, I may have been dead by now because I may have drowned in that river. But that thing is a big experience for me, and I always smile when it comes into mind.
Good, very well. I mean, that sounds like an open invitation to visit your farm.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
Yes.
So I would ask you, I don't know, it doesn't appear to me yours is about a farm. We already have an invitation to go to a farm. So what is your experience? What is this one experience you want to talk about?
I grew up around a time when the culture of the family is that children should be seen but not heard. It's not like now.
Children should be seen but not heard.
You are around, but they don't ask for your opinion. You do as you are told, and life goes on like that. But I remember every Sunday afternoon after church, our father will take us to watch football.
Football?
Yeah, at the sports stadium. He was a Accra House of Folk fan, and we'll all go. And that's one memory that I think has shaped my whole life. As most of you know, I am very strong in sports.
Yeah.
And even my children too have been professional footballers as well. So that, attitude, that initial upbringing was, even though he loved to take us to football, he didn't want us to be footballers. And that was the other side of the coin.
Okay.
So every time you sneak out to go and play football and come, there's a big cane waiting for you. That was a paradox.
Yeah.
He was so happy. Those days, parents tell the children what they must be. Everybody wants their child to be a lawyer, a doctor.
Yeah.
Certainly not a farmer.
Sure.
So the West is footballers, because football was for Kobolos.
Yes.
And it happened that I chose to play sports, and I chose to go into the military as well, which is a double Kobolo.
Yes.
So it wasn't something that my father wanted, but once I decided to be that, it didn't stop me.
Well, very well. Okay, now we know you've told us this one thing that made you remember and then you smile. But the topic today is about what makes your fathers heroes. So in what practical ways do you think your father did things that made him the hero to you? What makes him a hero?
To me?
To any one of you, it doesn't matter who starts.
Okay, well, I mean, for me, a hero is a person who does something extraordinary, who goes the second mile, third mile. And I think for that reason, the heroism in my father's role came when he was about 80 years old. Far from when he was a young man, he was, punishing us for playing football. To the extent that he had an argument once with my mother at the time. And he had said that, play the football and then go over. Because those days, everybody wants their child to go overseas.
Yes.
And then the day came when we went to the World Cup in hockey. And we went to say goodbye to General Champon, the head of state, and I was standing on one side, and my brother was standing at that side. My mother took the picture to my father and said, "Say when you say you're ashamed. Your children are actually good." So when he was 80 years old, I brought my sons to Ghana to go and celebrate his birthday. And we sat down, we were talking about life, and I was telling him, and my sons would say, "Grandpa, Daddy takes us to football and that and that." And my father said, "You take your sons to football and you watch them play football and you bring them home." I said, "Yes, Dad." He asked me that 10 times.
Wow.
Then the tears started to flow. And he said, I am sorry I hurt you so much. I didn't give you the opportunity. I mean, that is a mark of a humble man, even in that time of his life, to realize that he could have done things a lot better. And for me, it taught me a lesson that it's never too late to say you are sorry.
Yes, so that was a humble father. So yeah, what would you say?
Yes. What I see as the heroism in my father.
Yes.
is
Apart from he teaching you how to farm and how
yes.
to swim
across
that river.
Yes. But the farming thing matters a lot to me. But my father never went to school.
Okay.
Yes, he never attended school. And yet he insisted that school was the key thing. In fact, he had a saying that said that your pen is your cutlass. Although he took us to farm and we weeded with cutlasses, whenever the opportunity comes, he says, no, I want you guys to go to school because your pen is your cutlass. Because those days farming didn't fetch much. So he also didn't see us doing farming to become rich people. But he thought that we should go to school. And as he was saying, my father believed that we should be lawyers, doctors, and all that and he thought we could only do that if we went to school. And yet he didn't go to school. He never went to school. He was rather a tipper truck driver.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and he used to, today we call them the articulator drivers, but those were the 3-tonners, those days, Bedford, that went all over the place, from Ghana to Nigeria to Mali, everywhere.
Wow.
He went around, so he was enlightened.
That's great.
Very, very enlightened. And he thought it was schooling that could change our position in life. So he insisted we should go to school, and I'm grateful for that. And I think that made him a hero to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you seem to have touched the next question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask for you to pinpoint this one thing that your father did that has stayed with you. I mean, you have spoken about how he taught you to farm, how he insisted that you should go to school because he didn't have the opportunity, how he taught you hard work and all of that, because all of this is hard work, and so that you could stand on your feet as a man. Now, but if you could just tell me what this one important lesson he taught you in life.
Yes. So apart from what I've said, he used to also say things, some in Proverbs, not just by act, because he said something that every day when I get up, I remember. He says, in this world, if you don't carry your load when your hair is black, you carry it when it is white.
Yeah.
Once one tum soa, one fita so.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that one is something that has remained with me all my life. Anything I'm doing, I remember that line, that proverb, whatever it's called. But that has been with me all this time and every day. And when I saw this topic yesterday, it has been playing in my mind the whole time.
I see.
Because it says if you don't carry your load when your hair is black, you carry it when it is white.
Yes.
So, and I think it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone here would admit that is true.
Very well. So you see, the thread that I find going through our discussion so far is, fathers are heroes because they teach us all what is right. Yes. For instance, in your case, he taught you in the beginning how to be able to fend for yourself. Yes. You go to the farm, work hard, and how to be able to predict what's going to happen next. Because then he saw the river trying to get boisterous, and he says, no, there's rain. And I'm sure that has helped you to think ahead each time that you find yourself in a situation. His father taught him how to follow your passion. That's the man who took you to football games because he loved football and took his children there. And by so doing, he transferred that passion to them to the extent that they were able to turn that into let's call it economic ventures. He also taught you humility and all of that. Now, but all you have spoken about now is, let's say, 60, 65 years ago, maybe even 70 years ago. There are things that are happening today that challenge those positions. So let's look at fatherhood today, and let's look at fathers in the church. What do you think is a key challenge of being a father today, especially if you relate it to how a father should be in the church? And let's start from you, Sam.
It's in my days as a child, as a young man growing up, we had community. The community was very crucial. There was discipline. If you mess up in the street, you do something and somebody knows your father, the person will take action against you, bring you home, report you to your father, and you get a double, you get discipline again.
Yeah.
So the whole community was part of your upbringing. And to the extent that we celebrated even Christmas and festivals, not in our homes, behind our doors, but even on the street. Everybody brings their till. So there was that community sort of atmosphere. But now, the influence of social media is incredible. Some of the things that the children of these days have access to, I cannot imagine during our days. It was impossible to have access to some of those things. Okay, if you think about, I do a lot of mentorship with schools, and when we go to the schools, pornography is one of the critical things that the teachers ask us to talk about. During my day, it was impossible to have access to those things.
Yes.
So that is there. We had peer pressure, but the peer pressure was countered by the societal action or the community that you lived in that made sure that you did the right thing. Therefore, discipline was very key in most of our homes. Certainly in my home, discipline and also being independent was those things. We didn't have the influence of social media. Most of the people that I mentor, and I've mentored quite a lot of people over the years, the first thing is how social media influences them. They even go to the extent of telling me that I am an influencer. And I said, no, I'm not an influencer. I'm a mentor. Because I'm not used to.
Yes.
What does an influencer mean?
Yeah.
But I know what a mentor means. A mentor is a trusted advisor. Yes. And that is what I want to be. So social media is very key. We have our children who have, are more interested in Instagram. I do a program. I invite people to come and do what do you call it? Ushering. And I pay them. The first thing they do when they come, like Kempinski, they've never been there before. So they take their cameras and take pictures. Yes. And they say, but I have got to update my Instagram account and all those things. Meanwhile, I'm paying you and you're using my time to do all those things. So it is, our children these days are buffeted and are attacked by all those things. We didn't have those kind of pressures. And therefore, it makes parenting very, very, very difficult. Yes. And if you are a Gold Coast born like me, and you don't understand your IT and things like that, it is very difficult to keep pace with it.
Makes it even worse. And so what would you like to add here?
Yes, he's said most of the things that needs to be said.
Yeah.
But I'll add that we've lost also some of our cultural things that helped us. Today, how many people listen to, say, a Nancy story or whatever kind of story?
Yeah.
However you want to
even know about it.
Yes. So I'm sure these days, even if we are talking about Nancy, they may have to read it from this social media or some foreign book. Yes. So we have lost that one. Those days, all the things, good things that people needed to know were weaved into some story.
Yes.
So for want of the other words, let me say a Nancy story. Yes. So that the Nancy may be cunning and treacherous and all that, but whatever it is, the story resolves the problem to the benefit of the child.
Yes.
No matter how today we may have painted Anansi,
yes.
no matter how bad it was. In the long run, the story resolves it and make either put a shame on the Anansi or anybody who behaved like him. So I think we have lost that one. And again, he has mentioned some of the things. The teacher, for example, those days, our teachers, if you misbehaved, they were like the elders he was talking about. I went to a school where if you misbehave, your father will take you to the school for your teacher to whip you.
Yes.
Today, if your today in this country, teachers have whipped children and they have been killed.
Yes. And their fathers have gone.
And their fathers have gone back even to beat the teachers, and the young people in the town can organize because the child can organize his colleagues to go and beat teachers. And we as a nation, everybody is looking at it. The churches, you mentioned about the role of the church. We are all quiet. And these things have been happening. And so in the long run, when the teachers were attempting, I remember not too long ago, this social media thing, phones. There was a time education wanted to stop children taking phones to school. What happened? The parents, we fought against it and thought that they were doing the wrong thing. Meanwhile, the people who manufactured the phone, Bill Gates himself says he doesn't allow his child to use the phone. Yeah, is that not true? Haven't you heard it? He said it, that he doesn't allow his children to go onto the social media. Even today, in Trump's America, the children can go to social media or that, but the place is restricted. There are places a child of a certain age cannot go on the social media. Do we have it in this country? No. We don't. And this information, I'm sure even the people who are as high as priests know about it, but nobody is talking about it. And so these are part of the difficulties we are facing, fathers are facing, because the children now go to places that, as he said, we never went to. Yes. We saw pornographic pictures and all that, but there were still pictures and things like that. But today, when you think you are asleep or you think your child is asleep, whilst he's sleeping, he's watching video. I've seen children who have put cloths over their head and they are watching video or and then under the thing. And again, it's affecting their eyes. A lot of children are suffering from the eyes because they're watching things in the dark. And I think it's a very, very big problem for parents these days. Social media is the leader of that. They call themselves what? Gen-Zs or what?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Yes. So that is why.
Very well. I mean, very well said. But isn't there a sense? I mean, that could. I mean, someone will also argue that that is just a natural, progression of evolution and modernization and all of that. But the question I ask is, isn't there a sense in which, financial challenges, work-life balance, and all of those things can be brought to bear on what we say are the challenges of parenting these days? Yes.
Sure. I remember growing up, I never had any toys. In fact, out of the... For me. I came from very humble beginnings where, unless you go and sell bullfruit, the family doesn't eat. So you have to get up and you go. But that was cool because that is what has shaped me in terms of independence and sort of discipline. But what my father tried to do was to provide the headline financial things that we need: school fees, rent, and all those things. And then the rest of the things that needed to be done in the home was my mother to organize with, support from us going to Hawk and things like that. As far as work-life balance was concerned, fathers in those days, it wasn't, a desire for themselves to be present with their children. One of the things that I made sure that I did, that I didn't have, was to be present with my children and even with my grandchildren. That my grandchildren know my role and they demand, and the other day my granddaughter also said, "Grandpa, I asked Grandma to bring me to Ghana. She said she won't let me. I packed my bag. She went and brought her bag. I'm coming to Ghana. I'll come to stay with you. You see, so we have gone. It is impossible for me to imagine my father being that. So certainly, I mean, we didn't have much, but life was easy those days. With a little bit of money, you could really, eat a good meal. The pressures now are very, very difficult. The children are demanding a whole lot of things because of peer pressure. They have this, they don't have that. They go to sleepovers, some travel abroad, some go to private schools. Even those days, we didn't even have experimental schools. It was all Saito, government school. So it was very, when I went to secondary school, the first year of secondary school, I realized that there was a school like Penworth, which was now the private education school. Everybody wanted to cycle, so everybody was equal. So yes, there was, it was difficult, but the society didn't have too much expectations, and the parents could cope with whatever it is that was thrown at them.
Yeah, we'll still be going for a commercial break, but before we do that, I'd like you in the next couple of seconds to try and tease out why parents of today are not able to take care of their children as your father, for instance, did, against the backdrop of their finances and the fact that they have work to do. And in 20 seconds, let's see if we can do that.
So, as you said, you've already even indicated that the pressures of today is quite different from the pressures of yesteryear.
Yes.
But I think that the fathers of today too, they have assumed a lot.
Okay, so fathers of today have assumed a lot.
Yes.
We'll go for a commercial break. Please stay tuned, and when we come back, we'll continue from where we left off.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult.
Forget to share your comments on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and Facebook. We are on Trinity United Church Legon. You can also send your questions, comments on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996. And for today, we'd also invite you to share any memorable moments you have had with your parents, your father especially, with us. You can just send them to any of our social media handles, and you can even tag them or mention their names. You never know what we can do with them later on, but we invite you to please share your memories with us in the same way as we're doing here. Now, we were talking about the financial pressures and then, work-life balance before we went off. And during the break, we also were having a discussion. And Uncle Sam mentioned that the fathers these days are very preoccupied with paying the bills. And that's what they think makes them the hero or makes them a better father. Would you share that view too? I mean, do you share that view?
Partly, because you still need money to meet the current expectations. See, that's why I said the fathers today have assumed too much for themselves. They think that if you provided everything for the child, you've done your job, because most of them, including myself, they didn't have the kind of things that we desired when we were children. Now he's working, he's big man, he has got money, enough money to buy all the toys that the child needs. But he didn't have it. So today he thinks that because he didn't have it, his experience, because he was feeling very bad those days. Because especially those days, we still had people who had them.
Yes.
I was in a school where there was only one boy who wore canvas, like what
Sam is
wearing those days. And so we were everybody was growing up praying to get a canvas someday. We walked barefooted to school. And so if today I resolved, okay, so my children will not have to work barefooted.
Yes,
so if I have to buy shoes, I'll buy. And today the shoes are there. Today even the society forces everybody to wear the shoe, So it's not a choice anymore. So you have to provide. And so some of the father, and all of them, all these several people, they all had different needs that they never had. So today that he's capable of buying, he will buy. And some of them, that's why I said they assume too much. They buy too much for the children of these days. And when the child doesn't need all those things.
That is in an attempt to be a hero.
To please him, and he wants to be, my father didn't give me those things, so that's why perhaps I didn't like him so much. But today have the money, so even if they haven't asked for it, you provide. Look, especially the sweets and all those things that we buy after work. And people, so you buy, today everybody thinks that if you eat pizza, and therefore, if you give pizza to your child, it means you are there. You got there, yes. So it is coming from the deprivation of those days. What we didn't get, we think if you provide them today, then we have done our job. But we need to do more than that.
More than that, very well.
It is not just providing those ephemeral things.
Exactly. So I'll harp on the word provide, because one of the top qualities of fathers is provision.
Yes.
Now we are here saying, well, even though we are providing, we seem to be doing too much, so let's say we are over providing. But there's this other one about protection, which makes a father a good one.
Yes.
Are we being lopsided in being fathers?
So the example
Yes.
about protection,
Yes.
it's what I've already cited.
Yes.
Today you go to your child goes to school. Instead of coming to tell you that what happened, which was positive, you come and tell you some teacher slapped his lap or pulled his ear, and some parents will follow up and go to the teacher the next morning that they say my child says you did this. Meanwhile, some of them are even not true, but because, as you are saying, we are overprotecting our children.
Yes.
That is why we will follow up on certain issues
Okay.
we shouldn't be. Because if you did that, some of us don't know the impact that it has on the children, because they are children. He thinks that my father is a superhero. If my teacher does anything and I tell, the father follows up. So instead of reforming about the bad things he did, he rather thinks that his father was protecting him, and therefore he will go and perhaps repeat what he did.
Because Daddy Hero
Yeah,
will come.
Daddy Hero will
Okay.
come and
so
and,
what
and
I
push.
hear, is us say is that we are over providing, we are over protecting. What about mentoring in a Christian setting? Sam?
Okay,
What
so?
would you say? What do you think we're doing when it comes to mentoring our children?
Yao has spoken all about the ills of fatherhood that doesn't become apparent until you are in your 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And you have no relationship with your children who are in their 30s and 40s. And I have taught retirement planning over a number of at least 25 years now. And one of the things that I teach is that providing for it is not enough. Because you are in a home, you have a mother who the kids normally go to when they need something.
Yes.
They don't normally go to the father until it becomes the mother cannot do so. So they have that affinity with the mother more than the child.
yes.
The first 25 years of a family's life, the father is the king.
Yes.
And I always advise them, be careful the way you rule the roost. Okay?
Very soon.
Because very soon your kingdom will fall. When the children become very powerful, they will link up with closer to their mother, who is more, in our culture, when the child has done something wrong, the mother is waiting for the father to come and punish him. So you are seen as the wrong one. I always advise the parents that, fathers especially, create a presence. I call it an ecosystem. Create something, bond with your children when they are very young, so that even in their middle age, they see you as a friend rather than even as a father, to the extent that they can share with you some of the intimate details of your life. This is where the protection comes from.
Yes.
The protection is not about having soldiers guarding you. It's about presence.
Okay.
So like as I was sharing during the break, I was coaching my son's football team at school. I coach them football at the club level. So for 7 days a week, 24/7, I am with them. There's nothing that they do that is behind my back. So I am there to monitor, to shape, to the extent that even when their friends come and say, oh, let's go out, they'll say, no, I'll go out if my daddy is coming along.
With us.
Oh, my daddy wants us to go and play football. Why don't you come and join us?
Yes.
So our home became a place where people came to, rather than places where my sons left and went.
Okay.
And this is the protection that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So to the extent that it was okay for them to see me, even taking them to, let's say, discos in those days when they're young men.
Oh,
They want, I'll take them to restaurant. I'll hire a van, put all their friends inside, go to the restaurant. I'm part of them. When I finish, I bring my children home, go and drop all the other children. That's the protection that I'm talking about. Instead of me sleeping and wondering what is going on.
Out there.
So their friends, they say, your dad is cool. which means I had to watch all the MTV programs, the dances and all those things. And that's the protection part of it. So I always tell the fathers, create something that is between you and your sons and your daughters special.
Super.
Because that's what will carry the relationship further.
Super. Well, I like us to dwell a little bit more on this mentoring part. And I'm very interested in that because as Christians, we also are supposed to provide spiritual direction at home as part of the mentoring. I mean, what are the challenges we face these days? Or let me ask the question the other way. Sam, tell me, how do we do that these days? How are we able to provide that spiritual guidance and mentorship to our children?
Well, be natural. Be with them. Be part of their life. Be as often as possible so that you are the first choice of company rather than second or third choice. That way, you are able to then shape their lives. Say, okay, this is what, if they do something wrong, you are there. You are able to shape them. You talk to them about life. You talk to them about difficulties they have in school. And it becomes natural. It's not something that it is manufactured. And they will speak to you about so many things, about the issues that they are, you know, if they're being bullied, you will know. If they're having issues, you will know. And therefore, it's that presence makes the mentoring very, very easy. So, for me, even though my sons are now in their 40s, there are things in their lives that are critical that if they want to make a decision, they will say, let me speak to that first. That what will you, they will ask the question, what will you do in this circumstance? For me, I think that's the most important part. If the mentoring has gone very well, then even when they are matured, they will always say, let me share this with that, see what that is going to say. And that is the legacy that you leave with them in terms of values.
Good.
Part of it is that the children learn a lot from your behavior.
Yeah. Excellent.
What your behavior, what you do.
Yes.
So if you, and it begins with when they are very young, taking them and insisting for them to come to say the church from at the Sunday school level, for them to attend from that level, to attend those services, and as they are growing, bringing them up to the church itself, so that if they see you going most times and you insist they should join you to the church, they will, and they will copy from your behavior, so that in the long run, they will not leave it. If it really sinks, if you insist and it sinks, again, prayer.
Yeah.
Pray with them. Like some of the things that he mentioned, as if he were to be doing that, if a father were to be doing that with the children by praying with them all the time, insisting on certain, there are families where they insist for some of the children to pray in the morning or in the evening, but be consistent with that.
Yes.
And you perhaps sometimes even lead it. And a friend was telling me that his father was insisting on some of those things. Sometimes when they watch carefully, sometimes their father even is sleeping, but he is insisting, supervising that they will do it.
Yes.
So, and that is what, and a person today says, no matter, although they saw their father sleeping sometimes, they have copied that habit of having to pray at the right times that the father insisted, and therefore today is playing a big role for them in their own personal lives, which they are also passing it on. So I think, because the children learn from example, we should set the examples for the children to copy. And in the long run, won't regret.
That reminds me about my own father. He never, I don't remember him putting us together and he leading prayer or he praying for us. He always put us together and chose one of us to pray.
Yes.
He never prayed.
Yes.
And we always used to wonder whether he knew how to pray at all. Because, I mean, yes, the man, everything, he'll point at you to pray. In fact, he'll tell you the night before that tomorrow morning you are the one going to pray.
Yes.
But then, yes, I mean, that way. So, it so happens that each time I gather my children, I'm either praying for them or asking one of them to pray. From in fact, to the extent that I think my younger brother made a comment. That I think one of my children, the last one, was called upon to pray in a family gathering and said, "Oh, so these people, they will pray for you. They will be able to pray." So I think I like that example, the example you have given. If you set yourself out as a role model and they see you do the very things that you expect them to do at some point in their lives, then you would be operationalizing the Bible verse in Proverbs that says, you teach a child how he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. There's a comment from Benis that says it's very interesting. Yes, Ellen Benis, thank you for your comment, but we are expecting what memories you have of your father as well. You can send that to us as a comment, or tag your father, or send his photo. We'll put them together, and at the right time, you hear from us. Now, you know, there are people, and especially in certain communities, unfortunately, like the one we find ourselves in, who for some reason do not have a father figure in their lives. They have fathers, but they don't have anybody who is a father figure in their lives. I mean, for such people, how are we going to be able to bring them back into believing that even though your father himself is not there, all is not lost, and you can have all the love that your father would have given you if he was around? Yeah, well, let's start with you on that one.
Well, so everybody, those people that you are referring to, know what fatherhood is.
Yes.
That is why they are yearning for it. So if they want their children to feel like they have fathers, they should. The examples are there. Today, it's easier than our time, because today there are so many opportunities for people to see the behavior of other people's fathers. Even this same social media, television, whatever. We were lucky. We were growing up. We saw pictures like Bill Cosby's show, where there's a father and his family, and they live the family life on television.
Yes.
Although in the US, but it was applicable to all of us.
Yes.
Today, so you don't have a father figure, but there are examples that today, because of technology, because of modernity, you can see and copy. Yeah. Again, if a father, you want a father figure to see, today a lot of people can read the examples of the good fathers, even in the Bible.
Yes.
Jesus himself being leading all of us as a father. We all call Jesus our father. Why do we do that? Because we see him as a father figure.
Yes.
His behavior, the examples he left us, all point to somebody who was a good father up to now, who is our good father. So even if I don't have a proper father and I want to pick a father figure, I'll take somebody like Jesus and follow his examples and shape my family. Excellent. Or shape myself.
Very well. Yes. Uncle Sam, what would your suggestion be?
Yes. Sometimes I've met quite a lot of people who have not benefited from fathers or father figures. In fact, there are a lot of them around.
Yes.
Quite a number of the people that I mentor are in that category. Somehow, I seem to attract you know,
yes.
I mean,
such
people.
Yes.
The kids that come to play in my house like this, today about 20 of them were there. Half of them don't have that. Half of them don't have that. So we are in a situation where fathers are missing. And it's very sad. Because what it does is that today, one of them brought a sister and called Amelie. Amelie is about 4 years old. I've given her a book to read. And she was holding me the whole hour and a half. She was cuddling up to me. You could see that here is a young girl who needs affection, but never has that. And the brother also then sits next to me and will rest on my shoulder. Okay, for 2 hours, I'm quite happy to provide this for them. But then for the rest of the days in their lives, for the rest of the days, there's nobody there.
Them, yeah.
So we need to, those of us who are fathers, we need to extend fatherhood beyond our immediate this thing. And every time, one thing that comes to my mind is what Methodist founder says, it says, the world is my parish. Okay, John Wesley.
Yes.
For me, my fatherhood, the world is my is that, so I am always available. I try to provide that kind of thing because there's a need for people to be directed. Children need simple affection they don't have.
Yeah.
And I see every time they come, I see it. Today, one of them was telling me, my mommy says I shouldn't come here anymore, but I ran away and I came.
The father waiting there for
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, and it wasn't the only one, but 3 or 4 of them who said the same thing. And I said, why did your mommy say that? He said, I don't know, but I'm here. Tomorrow she will say the same thing, but I'll come again. So we need to create that opportunity. Exactly.
Yes.
For that.
For that,
you want to say
yes.
something,
For
yeah.
that, on that score, yes. Some time back, there was I was there. Even up to now, it happens. There are people who come to me and say they've been hearing my name on air, and this time they are not even children; they are older people.
Yes.
People who are now in their 30s and 40s.
Yes.
That they wished I was their father.
Wow.
And they will come to me and insist. Look, there was a lady from Tema that if I hadn't discouraged her, she will come with all sorts of gifts that she's bringing to the father.
Wow.
I stopped her at a point. Recently, somebody I met at Nkoko, and she said, for years I was watching you on TV.
Wow.
And I always wished you were my father.
Oh, excellent.
Then I went to a town where she was there, and she insisted that she wanted her mother to come and see me, that I was the man that they were watching on television and all that period.
Yes.
And now she seen me. She's so happy.
Wow.
And again, because she's old, I didn't think that she's somebody who needed so much direction. But there are a lot of people who are in the system like that, who haven't got father figures, but they want us. But the practical side is a lot of people naming their children after me.
Wow.
As their grandfathers.
Wow.
Yes. Only yesterday, I spoke to some man called me from somewhere and made me to talk to the grandchild.
Wow.
That I had never talked to before. But the child can now talk, about 7 years. And the father gave him the phone for me to talk to. Again, then there are people, it's a lot of them that I'm trying to support educationally and any other way that I can. But there are a lot of people like that who are looking for people that they want to mentor them.
Exactly. There's an interesting comment from Vida Kosuya Kwapon Kufu. She says, my late father was without a doubt my superhero, not just a hero, a superhero. He showed exceptional love, taught us to pray undoubtedly, be honest, and show respect to all. She says, you were excused from church on Sunday only if you couldn't sit. What will not make you sit, she hasn't said, but you were excused only if you couldn't sit. But that's a wonderful comment from you, Vida. We appreciate it. Just to wrap up, how do we involve the church in providing this fatherly figure to the people who don't have it? I know Trinity United Church, we are doing very well in the community. We go out on outreaches. We're putting this children's playground together with the hope that, it will attract children from the area. Every once a while, we organize programs and we bring the children from that. Are we able to retain them? What can we do better than how we are doing so far?
Steve,
let me take that as our concluding remarks from you, Sam. First.
A few years ago, I started, one SHS student came to me. She came to me and said, Uncle Sam, I want you to be my mentor. I said, I don't know how to mentor. I said, okay, then we'll learn together. So upon her insistence, we started, and that was, and it spawned maybe about another 20 people
Yeah.
who went through that kind of mentorship. And every time, most of them were still at school. Now they finished school. Some of them they are married. I see them and their families, and the pride that I feel just to have been part of their life is incredible. Sometimes at Sundays I come to church only to come and see those kind of my mentees, former mentees, to see how they are progressing.
And I've seen people talk to you a lot of times.
Exactly. So I think we need to reach out.
Yes.
We need to reach out. Somebody was asking me this, why don't you start it all over again? I am happy to do so, but it goes both ways. If people approach me and they want me to do that, I will do that. So I want to encourage all of us, all the fathers in the church, to extend themselves beyond the confines of their home.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So in the next 30 seconds, let's
Yes.
hear
So
from
yes,
you.
I support what the church is doing already because they are doing a lot. We can only increase what we are doing by contributing to the to support the projects that may attract the children here. I also know that the church provides some funds.
Yes.
I've seen some opportunities for the church to support children through some funds, educational. So there will come a day that the children will not just go to free education all the time.
Yeah.
We may have to now set up some fund somewhere that some needy children can tap into so that they can improve themselves after JSS or SHS. So the financial aspect
It's very
is very important that the church must look at.
Thank you. Viewers, all too soon we are coming to the end of today's program, which is Let's Talk About. Our topic has been Our Fathers, Our Heroes, and to help us have this discussion is Captain Andy Sam and Yao Owusu-Addo. I have been your host. But before we go, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Sigmund Freud, which says that, so Sigmund Freud says, I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. I cannot think about any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. On this note, we thank you for joining us for this evening's program. We will see you next week, same time and same venue. Thank you very much.